In this talk, I will try to demonstrate the potential of the circular economy in achieving sustainability and the transformation required to get there. To understand the problem we are trying to solve, let's look at the current linear economy, where natural resources, materials and energy provide essential inputs to manufacturing for the production of goods and services we consume for our needs and wants, creating waste and carbon emissions in the process. In this economy, increasing production rates and use of natural resources provide the raw materials to manufacture the goods needed to keep consumers spending, to create profits, which is at the heart of our current economic development. In the developed world, you could say that we have become a throwaway society, with products discarded as waste within absurdly short time spans and new consumer goods being produced and purchased by the millions every day. The current take, make, dispose approach results in massive waste. And for example, in the fast-moving consumer goods sector, about 80% of the $3.2 trillion material value is lost every year irreversibly as waste. The amount of materials consumed globally has been rising at a rate of 3.2% per year, from 22 billion tons in 1970 to 92 billion tons in 2017. As you can see, most of the materials are consumed by the 1.2 billion people in the high-income countries and the 2.6 billion people in the emerging economies, the upper middle-income countries. Our material consumption rose to 100 billion tons in 2020 and is projected to grow above 190 billion tons by 2060. This is the same level that humanity could have already reached in 2017 if everyone on the planet had the same per capita material footprint as those in high-income countries. This simply shows how unsustainable our current model of development is. Look, for example, at this composite image, which has become a popular poster showing a global view of the Earth at night. Really, what we see here is areas on the planet with access to electricity as an indicator of development. This is not where the population lives, this is just where people live and have access to electricity. So this is mainly the developed part of the world. Now let's see how this map looks if everyone on the planet was going to have the same level of access to electricity, the same level of development. Now this could be the Earth at night if the current global population had reached the same level of development across the planet. It is simply a map showing the major cities and urban agglomerations of the world. The brighter the color, the more concentrated is the population. So how can this really happen? It is really hypocritical to say that we want to move everyone on the planet out of poverty, while at the same time knowing that it would be a disaster if we do it using the same model of development. So what can we do about it? So this is where the circular economy comes in. The circular economy aims to decouple economic growth, our prosperity, from resources use, waste, and carbon emissions. It's about policy development from end-of-pipe solutions towards options such as resource efficiency, recycling, what we call closing the loop, symbiosis, in other words, system optimization, ultimately rethinking our model of development, how we consume resources, and how consumption is linked to our prosperity. And this is about moving from products to services, rethinking the way we economically develop. Let's see how efficient these options are in decoupling. Improvements in resource efficiency have been taking place as the resources cost money that companies would rather not spend. So they invest in technologies that allow more output to be produced while spending less on material input. So it has been happening already, and it's in line with business drivers. Technology helps us use fuel and resources more efficiently, but unfortunately, it does not address the underlying social and economic structures that drive overconsumption and the increasing demand from the emerging middle classes in the world and improvements in quality of living. Improved resource efficiency is a necessary but not sufficient condition for decoupling economic growth from resources, since potential savings could be cancelled out by increased production and rebound effects. Remember, as lower energy bulbs become more common, people leave their lights on for longer. At the same time, planned obsolescence intentionally reduces the life of goods to generate long-term sales by reducing the time between repeated purchases, making the coupling of economic growth and resources even stronger. So this is a real challenge we need to address. Most of the focus of current circular economy initiatives has been on recycling and recovering materials from waste, what is termed as closing the loop. There is a strong business case for recycling. For example, when you look at costs, recycling might be expensive, more expensive than the extraction of materials, more expensive than disposing of waste safely, but is cheaper than the sum of the two. In well-developed economies where we have regulations about waste and material extraction is probably costed, recycling makes a business case and it's the way forward. And that's why it's profitable to recycle materials. However, recycling in itself is insufficient to perform the decoupling required also, as it does not tackle waste generation or results in waste prevention. And while recycling rates have been increasing in many countries across the world, the potential for recovering value and reducing the demand on natural resources, on virgin materials, has been limited by several factors. For example, ambitious EU targets introduced focusing more on collection for recycling rather than value recovery, limited recycling's decoupling potential, increasing plastic waste exports for processing abroad. In general, once products are discarded and enter the waste stream, their potential for repair, reuse, or recovering value reduces significantly. About 80% of the damage done to the environment from waste products could be avoided if more thoughtful decisions about product design, the choice of materials and chemicals, and how they will be distributed and sold were made at the production stage. Symbiosis can also help. This is about system interactions that foster eco-innovation and long-term cultural change, creating and sharing mutually profitable transactions that could allow for some decoupling, particularly in the case of industrial activities where a waste or a byproduct of one sector becomes a resource for another. The circular economy needs to go beyond recycling and resource and energy efficiency. It needs to keep products in the economy by reusing them, repairing or upgrading them, then doing the same with product components and parts, and only as a last resort having materials recycled. This is where concepts such as dematerialisation, servitisation, collaborative consumption, and a shift from ownership to access have the potential to increase decoupling. Servitisation, for instance, takes place when traditional product-based firms move towards service-based business models that focus on selling the solutions that the products can deliver rather than selling products themselves. Switching the base of the transaction towards access and performance has the potential to restructure the economics of consumption, encouraging more sustainable use of resources and delivering wider social benefits. Business can make money by reducing raw materials, energy, and waste per unit of service produced, as well as reduce products by keeping them longer in the economy. This is captured well by Theodore Levitt's quote that people don't want to buy a quarter-inch drill, they want a quarter-inch hole, explaining that really the focus of the economy should be the function and not the product. The sharing economy, similarly, refers to peer-to-peer based sharing of access to goods and services, often facilitated by a community-based online platform, focusing on the sharing of underutilized assets in ways which improve efficiency, sustainability, and community. The best way to reduce material consumption is not to lightweight a product, but to get more service out of it. If a product gets used 10 times as much during its lifetime, for example, it uses 1/10 of the material per unit service, when lightweighting reduces material use by maximum 10 to 30%. This policy evolution moves us away from end-of-pipe solutions and towards recycling, reusing, and also the need to redesign and rethink our current model of consumption. Rethink does not mean this, simply finding ways of dealing with our waste, or even this kind of using innovation to do this. It's about deliberate transformation that will address the social logic of consumerism, dismantling the perverse incentives for unproductive status competition, and finding and offering new structures to encourage human prosperity. One of the most famous examples of servitization is the case of Rolls-Royce and the engines, the service it provides to airline and cargo carriers. Total Care is a dollar per flying hour paying mechanism, a service provision by Rolls-Royce, which offers great opportunities and benefits to both sides, both the airlines and the manufacturing company. Maximum flying availability, route optimization, and end-of-life management. Rolls-Royce also gathers large amounts of data on performance to plan maintenance or repair activities proactively, minimizing disruption and optimizing resource efficiency by keeping engines flying for longer, reducing demand for new parts. Up to 95% of a used aero engine can be recovered and recycled, now made easy with the ownership staying with the company. This has also resulted in increases in service intervals between engine overhauls by around 25%. So this is really about the transition from ownership to access. Things like hiring tools, leasing services, towards cooperative systems with the different degrees of sharing and ownership. There have been several developments in this space, and here you can see some SME examples of function-oriented lifestyle. One of the most well-known examples of servitization is mobility and the transition from owning cars to mobility as a service. Here you can see some of the reasons why this transition has been taking place all over the world. At Imperial, we developed the Mobility Hub trial in collaboration with Enterprise Rent-A-Car and also Brompton Bikes to encourage people that drive to college change their mode of transport. The good news is that it is now recognized that environmental degradation diminishes the capacity of the planet to sustain economic development. In other words, sustainable economic development and environmental protection cannot be in conflict, as both are needed for improved human well-being. Dematerialisation, servitization, collaborative consumption, and a shift from ownership to access have the potential to accelerate decoupling and help us to envision and potentially create a circular economy that delivers social, economic, and environmental benefits. The bad news is that the current development of these servitization alternatives without policy steer, public support, and appropriate technology developments could tend to be a missed opportunity for ensuring sustainable economic growth fully aligned with sound environmental stewardship and social development. Transformations to sustainability involve fundamental redirections of current human environmental interactions and require coordinated policy, technology, behavior, and market interventions. We need to accelerate the development of policies for large-scale social, political, institutional, and behavioral change. Important to this is empowering citizens to envision a sustainable poverty, inequality, and injustice-free future that is desirable, achievable, realistic, and that can be delivered through sweeping environmental, economic, and technological reforms. Future that maybe John Lennon in 1971 imagined, a not so distant future where we don't anymore purchase goods, but rather purchase the access or the value that those goods deliver. And that is the vision behind getting ultimately to a sustainable circular economy where economic growth is really decoupled from resources, waste, and carbon emissions. This vision of a sustainable future is igniting the development and deployment of new and innovative business models that are enabling manufacturers across diverse industries to future-proof their businesses and play their role in the sustainability transformation required. This is also an opportunity for science and research, science and innovation, and technology to enable society to succeed in this new and important mission. Thank you for listening. And for more information, I have included some references and some videos in this slide. Thank you.